Welcome back to Painting Delight. It's so nice to see you again, and I hope you enjoy today's session as I have prepared something different. I have taken a piece of contact paper and I have cut in a little oval, and in here I want to paint a nice mountain scene with some warm colors, maybe a little lake and some big birch trees here. So let's get off immediately and start off with a twinge brush and a little bit of Indian yellow. Very small amount of paint. I have already covered the canvas with a thin even coat of liquid white. And let's go in here and just make some little crisscross strokes. Put some nice yellow glow in here. Very small amount of color in the bristles, and I want to take some more and reflect this in the water. Very small amount, as you can see, and we will go straight here with straight horizontal strokes and just reflect some of these in the water. And now, without cleaning the brush, I will go into some bright red, very small amount, as it is very strong. Just tap in some color, and we'll go above that and making crisscross strokes again. We will put the bright red, very small amount, and there is a little bit of Indian yellow left on the brush, so we have a very nice orange color. And I will take some more. We always tap the bristles the same way, so we achieve a nice even distribution of color. And we will go around the red, always with straight strokes, because we paint still water in here. Okay. And don't worry about these streaks, because we will come back and blend all this together. And now, with the same brush, I will go into some alizarin crimson, and I want to make a purple color with a little bit of phthalo blue. Little bit of phthalo blue, and you decide if you want it on the crimson side or in the blue side. And always brush mix your paints in here, because you achieve different variations of color. So let's go up here, and as you can see, lots of fantastic things happen. You can see blue, you can see crimson, you can see both. It's very nice. And with the same color, we will just put in some water in here. We want the water to reflect the sky. Alright. And now I'm gonna take a clean twinge brush and just bring all this together. So we start, make sure it's dry and clean. So we'll start from the yellow. And by the time we have the liquid white on, it's very easy to blend. As you can see, you don't know when the one stops and the other starts. And I will do the same in the water here. And I go in the water now, because if I go with the purple right here, I'm gonna have brown-green color that I don't want at the moment. And we soften it a little bit. And now we will go back in here, and as you can see, all the colors blend together. And now very lightly take the strokes out and do the same here. Just soften it very gently here, and we are ready. We have a very nice, effective little sky. Now I want to build a big strong mountain in this one, so I'm gonna take some black This is Midnight Black, some Prussian blue, a little bit of crimson in here, and I usually put white on my mountain color, but today I want this mountain to be very distinct, so I will keep it dark. Added a little bit of Van Dyke brown too. We pulled this out very flat and cut off a little roll of paint, as you can see in here. So let's decide where our mountain is. So let's go and build some peaks. Scrape off the excess paint. And this is probably one of the easiest ways to make mountains. Another peak in here. You can have as many or as few peaks as you want. But we don't want much color, we want just a basic shape in here. Just scrape it off all. And now I'm gonna take a big brush, probably the same brush that I painted the sky with, doesn't matter. Just make sure it's dry. And we have to pull this down and blend it into the yellow. And we want it more distinct in the top compared to the bottom. And by the time we have the liquid white on, it's very easy to pull this paint. Pull this down. And in here the big peak. I really hope you enjoy this oval idea of today. It's a very nice effect to do. And we just keep blending, removing the excess paint so the next layer will be applied easier. And make sure you have very dry and firm paints for that. Otherwise your paints will become mud on the canvas and you won't be able to paint this way. You have to let the layers dry in between, and this is much easier because you can do this in one go. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my knife again and take some titanium white, and I want to add at least a little amount of bright red to that, just to sparkle it a little bit. Pull this out very flat, as always, a little bit more red for me. Pull it out very flat, cut across, and here is our roll of paint. So without applying any pressure at all and lifting your blade a little bit, touch and just let it float right out of your knife. And do the same in here. As you can see, I'm applying no pressure at all. And I always follow the angle of the mountain. This is very important. And let's go in here. And as you can see, the paint is very firm and allows us to have all these nice bumps. And you also can see the red in here. And this looks like light is coming on the mountain. A little bit more paint. And let's go up in here and do the same thing. No pressure at all. It's very important. And we'll go in the small peak in here too. And you can also do the same thing back here. Okay. Let's put a couple of shadows here. I'm gonna take some white and just a little bit of phthalo blue. Just a little bit. Mix this thoroughly. And you always do the same thing, pull the paint flat and cut off some paint. So let's go in here and using no pressure again, Just let this bounce. It's very, very easy. And wherever you have a highlight, you need a shadow. So make sure each highlight has its private shadow. And as you can see, I'm pushing this peak back. This adds depth to our painting. A little bit more paint. And let's go in here and do the same. Okay, let's add some more pinks in here. Using white again, I'm gonna come in here and add another nice peak. Just let it bounce off your knife. Maybe there is another peak in here. And it's up to you to decide how many peaks you want. And let's add the shadows now. A private shadow to each highlight. Add a little bit in here too. And if you think that your peak is not as distinct as you wanted, you can just come back and fix it that easily. Add a little bit of shadow. Okay. And a little bit in here too. And you can also use the small edge of the blade because it sneaks better in the small places. Something like so. And that's it, we have a very nice mountain. Now I want to mist the bottom of this, so with a clean 2-inch brush I will just tap very, very gently, following the angles of the mountain, and lift it upwards, removing the top marks, and do the same in here too. Very, very gently. And we bring it all together. Now we have a very nice mountain floating in here in the mist. Okay, let's have some foothills now. I want to use the 1-inch brush today, but you can use whatever brush you want. I'm gonna go into some sub green with my 1-inch brush. Take a little bit of white in here, a little bit more white, and let's have some midnight black to that. Not very much though. Very, very small amount of black. I'm gonna add some crimson too, just to dull it down a bit. And let's go in here and decide where we want our foothill to be. It's most important to save a little bit of this misty area in here, so just tap in some nice foothill indications. You can also use the 2-inch brush for that, and give your foothills a bit of shape, a little bit of character. Make them round. And if you do not like the color, you can always go back and change it, but just tap in some before you do it. Alright. Now I want to create the illusion that there are some distant trees in here, so I'm gonna take another clean and dry 1-inch brush and lift gently straight up. So we are actually lifting the paint on top of the foothills, and it seems like there are some trees back there. Okay. But do not overdo it, because these are supposed to be far, far away. And now I'm gonna take a twins brush, and I want to create the illusion of mist in here, so I'm gonna just tap in very, very firmly. Use a lot of pressure to that. There we go. And this will be our separator with the next layer. And the more you tap it, the mistier it gets. You can tap as much as you want. And then lift upward again. Remove the top marks and blend it all together, and we have a very, very nice foothill in here. Now I want to have some trees. Let's take a fan brush today. I want to have another layer, but I want to have some nice, decent trees. These are a little bit more distinct. So I'm gonna go into the same color with my fan brush, just less white this time, because the closer we get to the one that sees the painting, the darker the colors must be. So a little bit more black, just a touch of crimson maybe. Okay, a little bit more black, and I prefer brush mixing the colors here. So we load both sides full of paint. Always save this misty area, and let's just tap in some very nice tree shapes. Load the brush as necessary, and try not to make all of them the same size. And it's also very, very important to fill in the little gaps that you might be getting. A little bit more paint. And you can also use whatever brush you want in here. I just wanted the fan brush because it makes very nice delicate shapes. You could also use the 1-inch brush sideways. There are lots and lots of different types of foothills to paint, or distant trees, whatever you prefer. And I use both sides of the brush, because when you run out of paint on the brush, you have some other indications that are lighter, so these trees are further away compared to these ones. And this is what adds interest to our painting. A little bit more paint. And very easily we have filled in a whole area in here. Now by the time this is a lake, we should have a reflection in the water. Fill in whatever gaps you have left, and just pull some indications of trees down here. Don't worry about these little streaks going into the water, because this is where our reflection is gonna be. Very, very nice. And now for the reflection, let's have a 2-inch brush. and decide where you want the lake to be. We want it roundish in here, so just pull some paint. Always pull straight down. It's most important. There we go. And we try to have the same length of reflection as the trees that are on the ground here. And the more you blend it, the softer the reflection it gets. So very lightly, just go across here and bring it all together. And now let's make a water line. I'm gonna take my knife, a little bit of liquid white, just pull this out very flat, maybe add a little bit of dark sienna into that, pull this out very flat, and then cut across with your knife, and you have a little roll of paint, of loose paint, on top of the knife. And let's go in here and just scratch in some water lines. We don't want them very distinct because they are still far away. A little bit in here too. And it's most important to hold your knife straight to this one, because if you're gonna have some water lines that are not straight, it's probably gonna disturb your eyes. Okay, so let's move a little bit forward. Let's have some nice bushes in here. I'm gonna take the round brush today. This is a 1-inch round brush. So let's mix a color first. I'm gonna take the same mountain color and take some black, some Prussian blue, a little bit of Van Dyke brown, sub-green, lots of sub-green in this one. And I'm using a lot of paint here because I also want to make a big evergreen tree. And let's add a little bit of crimson too. So we have a lot of paint here. This is gonna be our basic dark color for today. Just mainly all the dark colors you have. So I'm gonna go with my 1-inch round brush and tap in some color in here. Pull some and just tap it. Use a lot of pressure, lots of paint. And let's decide where we want our bushes to be. Let's have some in here. Just make some basic shapes. And we want to reflect this in the water. And as you can see, very easily we have filled in a whole piece of land here. Okay. Now I'm gonna take the same 2-inch brush and just pull down some paint. Always do the same thing. And before I put the highlights on, I'm gonna show you how to do an evergreen tree with a 1-inch brush. I have a new 1-inch brush here, and I'm gonna load it full of paint. As you can see, I'm pulling through the paint. And what I want to do is to bring it into a chiseled edge. We shake the brush in the paint. Make sure you have a lot of paint for that. It's gonna take a lot of paint to stick the bristles together. Shake it into the paint and then pull it through. And as you can see, this will sharpen your brush. Just shake it and pull. And as you can see, we have a very nice chiseled edge here, but Make sure you have a lot of paint. It's very important. So let's have a huge evergreen in here. Maybe it goes outside the oval. I'm gonna make a center line. As you can see, I have a straight line with this big brush. This is because I have a lot of paint. And now we just do the same way as we do with the evergreen trees using the fan brush. So I'm gonna use just the corner now. Just the corner of the brush. And as you can see, a nice evergreen pops up. A huge evergreen tree. There we go. Give some big limbs in here. Fix whatever you don't like. And you can also use the twins brush for that. Okay, let's make a trunk. I'm gonna take some white, a little bit of white, and just a touch of dark sienna, small roll of paint, and let's go in here and put the tree trunk in here. That easily. And now I'm gonna take the least little amount of paint thinner on the same brush. I'm gonna use the same brush for the highlights. The least little amount of paint thinner because we want the next layer of paint to stick easier. So I'm going into some cadmium yellow with the same brush, and by the time we have blue and black in here, we have a very nice yellow color, as you can see. So maybe a little bit of soft green, and we'll do the same thing. Just come up here and just highlight your tree. Remember where your light source is, so we want more highlights on the right. And I'm gonna take another 1-inch round brush here. I'm gonna go into some yellow ochre, all the yellows, and just tap in some paint to make the highlights for the bushes. Maybe a little bit of bright red too. Only using the top corner of the brush in that. And let's go up here. And if your paint won't stick, just add the least little amount of paint thinner to your brush. A little bit more paint. And as you can see, it sticks much easier. Make sure you paint one bush at a time. Just add some nice leaves. And make sure you vary the color. In here we want a reflection, so we just reverse the brush. And as you can see, we have the reflection of this bush. Take some more soft green, and let's come in here and make a nice bush. Reflect it. A little bit more paint, some bright red maybe. Reflect this one. And you can use whatever brush you want for that. Okay. Now let's reflect those bushes. Let me find a nice brush for that. So we want very gently to pull this down. Very gently, and then go across. It's most important to use no pressure at all for that, because the paint is gonna smear and you won't have nice highlights in here. Nice reflections, I mean. So let's take the knife, let's put some land here. I'm gonna take some Van Dyke brown and get a roll of paint and just make a little bit of land in here. very easily. And I'm gonna take some sienna and some white, and very gently, as we did with the mountain, just go above that and highlight the rocks. Now I'm gonna take some of my liquid white and make a nice water line right underneath. Make them as straight as possible. Maybe get a couple of ripples here and there. And I'm gonna take the same brush again and I'm gonna bring this together. I'm gonna put a little bit of grass above these rocks. It's very important to bring all this together. Okay, let me scratch a couple of sticks and twigs. And this adds depth and interest to a painting. Okay, let's go to this side. Let's have the same brush with a dark color and just put in some nice indications. Some dark painting here. Just fill the scene. And I use this brush because this was the one we had dirty already. Just fill the scene. Okay. So today I thought we'll do some nice birch trees in here. Let's paint these first. I'm gonna go into some Van Dyke brown. Use a lot of brown for that. Load your knife as always. And let's decide where we want our trees to be. I want to have them outside the oval too, so let's start from the bottom. Just touch with your knife and put in some color. And we paint the first side first, and we come and bring it all together here. You decide how big you want them, how dark. You can also use black for that. Let's make it a little bit thicker. And we go up here and we have one of the trees ready already. We have done lots of trees in the past using the brush, so today I thought we'll use the knife. And let's have another tree. Let's go in here. And it's very interesting putting these trees in front of the mountain because this will put the mountain back. Just pull, touch and pull, this is all you do. A little bit more paint. And do the same from this side. Just touch. And maybe in here you're having difficulties because of the white that it's on the mountain. But don't worry, because our paints are very firm and they're gonna stick, don't worry about that. Okay, fix this a little bit. Alright, now let's put in some highlights. I'm gonna take some straight white, straight titanium white in here, take a roll of paint, and we want to make kind of a roundish mood in here. Let's just touch very, very gently and just make a sort of roundish move. This will feel like the tree is roundish and will be very, very interesting. Let's go in here too. Just touch and make a roundish move. That's all you have to do. Okay, let's add some branches to that. I'm gonna take my liner brush with lots of paint thinner and just some Van Dyke brown. Always use the same color like the one on the trees. So I'm gonna take the Van Dyke brown, lots of paint thinner, and by twisting the brush in here, just load it full of paint. So we have a very nice sharp edge. So let's make some nice branches in here. And if your paint won't stick, just add a little amount of paint thinner. Some nice branches in here. And we'll come back and put some nice leaves on here too. So if you do not have a perfect tree like me here, you do not have to worry, we'll put the leaves on and the mistakes will disappear. Don't worry about something not going right. We will fix everything. Okay, let's add another one. Maybe I want one in here. Alright. And in order for our tree to look right with the leaves on, we need some dark first. So I'm gonna tap a little amount of dark color and come up here and just tap. Just push. Here and there. As you can see, I'm adding very, very little color at a time, because if I use too much pressure and too much paint, I might ruin my tree in here. I might pick some of the white and cover my whole painting with that, and I don't want it. Okay, enough of this dark, and I'm gonna take my other brush. I'm gonna go into some yellow ochre, some bright red. Just tap this, and right above this, maybe I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter for you to see. I'm going just above this and add some highlights. Just tap. And as you can see, we're not messing with the mountain here because we have the right ingredients. The paint, I mean. And can you see how they come to life, these trees? And I'm gonna put some nice foliage down here, just play through the colors. Maybe I'm gonna add a little amount of paint thinner so the paint sticks easier. A little bit of sub-green and some nice bushes living here using just the corner of the brush. And as you can see, we pushed the birch trees back. Play through the colors. This is a nice one. Paint one bush at a time, and maybe let's have a nice path in here. I'm gonna use my knife for that. I'm gonna take some Van Dyke brown and let's add a path. Very easily done. And make it a little bit bigger as it comes closer to us. Alright, for the highlights I'm going to use the same sienna and white paint, so very gently come here and covers the canvas. So we have the illusion of rocks. Just pull this way. A little bit more paint. Alright, and I'm gonna return to my round brush and just bring the land and the path together. Some bushes have reclaimed a bit of this path, but this is what adds interest because this becomes one. Some bushes in here too. Maybe there is a big one in here. Very nice big bush. And a couple of smaller ones in here. Just separate them. Scratch some sticks and twigs. Just use the point of the knife for this one. This actually separates the bushes and adds a lot of interest. Okay, so I think we're very close to the end, so let's remove the contact paper and see what we have. I think we have a very nice painting, very warm colors, very interesting, and as you can see the whole picture changed when we remove the contact. We have some very nice water in here, some nice bushes. We showed a different way for the evergreen, we paint birch trees, and I think it's time for me to go. I thank you very much for watching me. I'll see you next week where I'm gonna paint a night scene using a black canvas. So if you want to paint along, have your canvas ready with some transparent colors. I'm gonna use blues mainly. So until next time, happy painting, take care, and I'll see you soon.